The sea is a wild animal. It tosses and turns unpredictably, leaving you to never know when it's happy or sad. The surprises it gives can kill you or change things for the better. Mine almost killed me. I'm Steve Callahan, and this is my story. I was racing in the mini transatlantic boat race bound for Antigua in the Caribbean islands. From Penzance, England, Napoleon Solo, my boat, and I were inseparable. She was almost like a person to accompany me on all my lonely voyages, which were extremely common. Sometimes I had a ship hand. A particularly memorable one was Catherine, a French woman who helped me steer the boats. The funny thing was that the more company I had, the more I closed myself up. "You're a hard man," she said, but I did not change to suit her. But at that time was the mini Transam, where I could not be disrupted by bored thoughts. The starting gun rings and we're off. After a while of hurried boating, I'm left with the choice of staying in Portugal and avoiding the winter equinox winds, or going on, which would give me a better chance at winning. I decide to use the winds to my advantage and keep going. There are only a few more boats to pass before taking first place, so I went below deck to sleep for the night. When I laid down, I was wearing nothing more than a whale tooth necklace, a watch, and a shirt. This would be the most I would wear for around 2 months. I felt as if I were a great sailor. I'd never had any misfortune on a boat, so I had no reason to be uncomfortable. What was that? The water was gushing in through a large break in the hull. Too large to fix. Immediately, my one goal is to get to the care package I have for situations like this. But my self-preservation is more important. In one motion, I catapult myself upwards through the hatch, leaving my life-saving supplies inside. I find the life raft canister, and I yank. Nothing. I yank again. Nothing. This is it. This is the end of the line. No more Steve Callahan. Not today, Death. I yank with all I have in me a third time, and the raft inflates with a violent whoosh. I jump into the raft and watch Solo sink into the deep. My friend, my companion, my boat, lost. I can't leave the boat without my package of supplies, though. With one enormous breath, I dive into the water again, grab my knife, and cut the ropes, holding my ope down. Once it's loose, I race my bag to the surface and take in a big breath of air. I drag my bag into the boat with me and collapse back into the dark interiors of the raft. Will I ever live to see the light of day again? I think not. Goodbye, family, world, luxury. Somehow in the bleak night, I find sleep. I wake up the next day and pull my sheets off of me. What a dream. Wait, where's the sheets? Oh man, it wasn't a dream. But this means instant death, right? Maybe, but I won't let that happen. I sort through my care package to see what I have to work with. I have 6 pints of canned fresh water, 2 plywood paddles, an assortment of flares, 2 sponges, a radar reflector, and 2 solar stills. These evaporate fresh water from the salt water, which is a very vital job. A first aid kit, a rubber basin, survival charts, compass and pencils, a flashlight, raft patching kit, and a fishing kit. Luckily, I added my own assortment of supplies: mini knives, a sleeping bag, a Dougal Robertson Sea Survival book, a flare gun, a spear gun, and a very small amount of food. Most importantly, my emergency positioning indicating radio beacon. This shows any planes or boats nearby my position. Things look great, and to test my speed, I crumple up a few pieces of paper and drop it in the water. Based off these results, I deduce that I'm traveling at about 8 miles a day. I spearfish daily for the Dorados that travel under my raft, occasionally catching 1 or 2, and I also use the solar stills and rain to get fresh water. I suffer from major starvation and dehydration. One day, a boat passes by. Freedom! No more suffering! I shoot up half my flare stock to get their attention, and when they start heading my way, I take a huge swig of precious water. I won't need it anymore. Alas, it passes me. Being all alone leaves a man with his own thoughts. I think of food, water, and people. There will be a great house on a green hill. Catherine will be waiting for me on my boat, and I will look around at the world below me and see villages, and more behind those, and even more villages. I think of how little we appreciate people when they're near us, but now I would give anything to speak a word to anyone. My life is incredibly repetitive. I fish, stare at the horizon, repeat. I could make a t-shirt out of that. While spearfishing one day, I spear a Dorado who puts up quite a fight. I struggle with the fish and my hand starts falling toward the bottom of the raft. The tip slashes a large hole in the bottom tube and the fish goes loose. This hole turns out to be an enormous problem until I spot on the horizon green. The next day, local fishermen stop by my raft and take me to their island. I find that I landed on a spot nearly invisible on my maps, and after recovering, take more value in what life is and what we can do with it. I can relate to Lewis and Clark because we were both venturing into the unknown with very limited resources. I can also relate to William Clark because we were both often optimistic about the future and our survival. After reading fiction books about disaster, I realized that the books do not give you the same understanding of crises as non-fiction books. I have one thought to leave with you. I quote this from my book Adrift. We cannot grow without challenge. Challenges routinely produce crises that severely test us. However, crises also offer us the greatest opportunities. People going through tough times typically feel isolated and unsure what to do. When I face a crisis, I try and keep in mind a few simple concepts. We cannot control our destinies, but we can help to shape them. We must try to make life hop a bit, but we must also accept that we can only do the best we can.